Hello everyone, a warm good morning. Welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the Hindu analysis of the 17th May 2024. The topics that we are going to do before that, again a reminder, we have already started our target prelims 2024. The crash course is going on. Exactly at 7 p.m. in the evening, you are having the classes, and presently, if you look at the schedule, we are done with the 2 days of classes. They both were of polity, and again, polity would continue here. So, please remember this, and I hope you are attending the lectures there. Now, moving ahead, let us see what all articles we have taken for the day. The first one is SC limits ED's power to arrest PMLA accused. The second one is malign motive. The third is state cannot acquire property without proper procedure, Supreme Court. All three, they concerned with polity. And the fourth one also is regarding polity only. Can the political parties be derecognized or deregistered? So here we shall see there are lots of parties. There are some national parties, some state parties. Many parties are just on paper. So should they be deregistered, derecognized? That's the question that is being asked. Now the next two topics are related to health. Number one, health advice to take with no pinch of salt. Basically, this is talking about hypertension or blood pressure. That how this is a silent killer, not only for the Indians but amongst the entire world, and how we can prevent this thing. Very good article and a lot of good points that come out of this. The sixth one is adolescent girls at risk after receiving Covaxin, says study. Now, of late there have been some news reports that the these vaccines that we had received during the corona, some of them are having some side effects. So we shall see what the study says and what is the counter over here. 7. Z Putin hail relations as stabilizing force in world. Now something that's going on, friendship between China and Russia, and we'll see that whether this friendship which is going on, how yesterday also we talked that the Ukraine crisis is pushing Russia more and more towards China, and of course there are implications of this on India also, which we should always keep in mind. Beyond this, there are three topics for prelims. The number one, ahead of Ukraine peace conference, Swiss diplomat to hold talks in India. So basically a Swiss diplomat is coming, and they want India to be participant of this Ukraine peace conference. And you all know we are maintaining a balance here because we have Russia also as a very good friend of ours. So let us see what we are going to do over there. Are we going to participate? Are we not going to participate? And if we are going to participate, at what level are we going to do that? All that will be looked into here. The second topic is violence rages in New Caledonia as France rushes security forces to islands, a small territory of France in the Pacific Ocean. Some violence has started over there because these people are talking about independence. Now, please remember this, because in the previous year in UPSC we have seen where they have asked us by giving regions and matching it with the countries where that region is located. So New Caledonia is a overseas territory of France. This is something that you should remember. Third is Kerala sounds warning on West Nile virus, neighboring states on guard. Now, even before the monsoons have basically struck Kerala, unfortunately these viruses have struck, and there have been some reported cases that have come out of Kerala, and we shall look into what those cases are and what their implications can be. When did they begin? Why are they happening in Kerala only? Who can be the sources of these viruses, who are carrying these viruses? All that we shall look into this. So overall there are 10 topics. Let's begin with the first one, the first 4 being your prelims topics. Now you all can see here, Supreme Court limits ED's power to arrest PMLA accused. If you all remember, the first 2 topic of today, this one the malign motive to some extent are linked to probe agencies must give written grounds of arrest. So Supreme Court is basically asking the probe agencies, in this case Enforcement Directorate, that they have to follow certain rules when they are arresting a accused under PMLA. Yesterday we saw UAPA also, and this time it is about PMLA. Now see here, I've taken the first paragraph because the most important line here comes from the first paragraph itself, and that I have taken entirely here. You have to remember this. See, in a landmark judgment yesterday, please remember, there was a two-bench judges, Judge A.S. Oka and Judge Ujjal Bhuyan. They have given a judgment. In this judgment, they have basically said, and you can see, Supreme Court gave a fillip to the right to personal liberty. Yesterday also we had talked about this. Again we are talking about this. By holding that a person summoned by a designated special court under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, PMLA. Yesterday we have studied about this. So remember the full form, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, is presumed to be not in custody and need not apply for bail under the draconian conditions posed by the anti-money laundering law. So basically you can see it is limiting the power of the Enforcement Directorate to arrest here. So the special court has taken cognizance of a case. Which is that case? The case is Tarseem Lal against Enforcement Directorate, and he has challenged the Punjab and Haryana court denying him anticipatory bail. So please understand, basically the Supreme Court is saying here that ED needs to separately apply if they want to take custody of a person if the person, he or she, is appearing in the appearing in the court. Supreme Court is saying that ED has to clarify on what specific grounds they want to arrest someone. That is basically, why do they want to take someone in custody? Why do you want to take someone in custody and do a custodial interrogation? That agency has to specify. Now, under this, there are some sections also mentioned in this article. If you will read, they have mentioned about a section 88 of CCP, Code of Criminal Procedure. Under this, they are saying the special court can direct the accused to furnish bonds under these sections. Now, this judgment, as I have already said, has come in the case of Tarseem Lal. Now, the thing is, you have to understand why is suddenly the need for such a law at this point of time. See, basically what happens is, under section 45, there are twin conditions of bail. If somebody wants to have bail, he has to, or she has to, fulfill two conditions. The first condition is, the person has to prove that he or she is prima facie innocent of the offense. If I am accused, I have to prove that no, I have not committed this particular offense. And the second one is, again, if I am the accused should be able to convince the judge that he or she would not commit any offense if the person is on bail. Now, if you all look at the twin conditions, you all will accept that both the conditions, in both these twin conditions, it is the person who has to prove. So basically, the burden of proof in both the cases is on whom? On the accused. And often the accused is against whom? Against the might of the state. So basically it becomes almost impossible for the accused to get bails in these cases. So Supreme Court has clearly said that the ED, separately apply if the person is appearing in the court, and show why this custody is required at this point of time. So this is something that, one topic that came under this. I would say, and I would ask you people to remember Tarsim Lal, this point, and the two things that I said here, the twin conditions of the bail, and now what ED has to do, that is apply separately if you want to arrest someone. Do remember this much. Let's move to the second topic, and this is something that we did yesterday only. You can see malign motive. Yesterday only, probe agencies must give written grounds of arrest. Now under that only, there is an article yesterday, you all know. Yesterday we studied that the Newsclick founder, Mr. Prabir Purkayastha, yesterday Supreme Court ordered that he must be released. Now in this article, the writers are saying his release is not only a technical outcome. Because yesterday we studied that Supreme Court said that you have not given the written, reasons why you are arresting this person, and in this case or in any other case, you have to give this written orders. So in this case, what is happening is that this editorial is saying that don't treat it only as a technical outcome. The editorial is saying, if you look at this whole case, UAPA was imposed on this web portal. According to this article, this entire case was fictional, unlawful, and under no case a terrorist act. The court has not gone into the merits of this case, please remember, but this editorial is saying these are the facts. Now, why are the editorial pointing to this arrest of Mr. Purkayastha as unlawful and all? For this, they are quoting some example or certain points. Number one, they are saying that Mr. Purkayastha was produced before a remand judge before dawn. His police custody was obtained at 6 a.m. The editorial is saying that police had entire day, but they did not do it, but they did it here. Even though the police had, I can write this, entire day to produce him before the court within 24 hours. Third thing they are saying that Mr. Purkayastha's lawyer had no idea. He was kept in the dark about this early morning proceedings. And there the ED had brought a remand advocate. And on top of that, they are saying that, see, this action of terrorist thing that was imposed, all this make it flimsy. They are saying that Mr. Purkayastha, the accusation was that he was funded by Chinese government, and along with Chinese government and American millionaire Neville Roy Singham, they were involved in a conspiracy to replace the Indian democracy with a one-party system that exists in China. So they are saying this is the case. So this article is basically, criticizing the way this arrest had taken place. Yesterday I had not taken up this matter, but we had, studied about this, that Supreme Court has clearly said that it has to be written and then only this would be done. So slightly I have told you why the article is questioning the entire case, why they are saying that this entire case seems to be fabricated and entirely wrong. Let's move to the third article, and this is very, very important article. On page 12, you can see, state cannot acquire property without proper procedure. Now, this case comes from West Bengal. Very, very important case. Supreme Court has taken a significant step to protect private property from arbitrary state takeover. Now, you all know, let's say a highway is being built, and let's say my house is here. The state can take this. So Supreme Court is saying you cannot take over any private property, even though this is highway which is for a public purpose, holding that compulsory acquisition without following mandatory procedures followed by a grant of compensation to the owners will not make the accession constitutional. So basically, Supreme Court is not saying that you cannot acquire. There is no stopping of about acquiring the property, but then it has to be done by proper channel. Properly you have to do. You cannot do it on your own, in your whatever manner you want to do, you cannot do it. So they are saying follow proper procedures, of course give the proper compensation, and then only this would be done. So now you all have studied in polity, right to property is protected as a constitutional right. And the Supreme Court yesterday said that interpret it as a human right also. Remember, right to property earlier was a fundamental right, but then under the 44th Constitutional Amendment, it no longer remains a fundamental right, but then through Article 300A, it is now a constitutional right. And what Supreme Court is saying that along with this being a constitutional right, also understand that this is a human right. Again, yesterday a two-bench judge, Mr. P.S. Nasimha and Mr. Arvind Kumar, they have declared this in their judgment. So basically, no, they are not saying don't acquire. They are only saying if you want to take anything as acquisition, do it through proper methods. And if it is not done properly, this becomes unconstitutional. Now basically, this case came to Supreme Court from Calcutta High Court. What had happened is, Calcutta High Court had rejected one of the petitions filed by Kolkata Municipal Corporation. Under that, they had acquired some private land. Now, court has ordered that Kolkata Municipal Court must pay 5 lakh as costs within 60 days to the person whose land would have been acquired. So please remember this, very, very important. Though the 44th Constitutional Amendment omitted the right to property as a fundamental right, which I said, Article 30A, which was simultaneously inserted into the Constitution, provided that no person shall be deprived of his property save by authority of law. So do remember this thing. So if I point out, the requirement of law under Article 300A does not end with mere presence of legislation, which would deprive or which would empower the state to deprive a person of his property. So everyone, there are some procedural rights that the people would have. Now if I tell you, court has laid out the procedural rights also. and court is asking that before you acquire anything, you must follow this procedural right. What is this right? Number one, there must be a right to notice. Or basically in simple words, I say that the state has a duty to inform the person that the state intends to acquire the property. So you have to inform the person that, see, we are inclined to take your property. That has to be done. Second, there is a right of the citizen to be heard. That means if the citizen has some objections, he must raise, and the state must listen to his objections to the acquisition. The third one, right of a citizen for a reasoned decision. That means the state has to again inform the citizen its duty why it is acquiring the property. State has to show that the property that is being acquired with only one purpose, that is public purpose. That's the fourth thing. Fifth and the most important, you have to give a compensation. And this has to be done within a timeline and must be done efficiently. So all these things are procedural rights which have to be followed by the state when they are planning to acquire the property of any individual, in this case any citizen. That's the thing that they have pointed out yesterday. Do remember the right, procedural rights here. Very simple, right to notice, that the state should give the notice. Hear the objections of the citizen. Citizen must be informed about the decisions, why the property is being acquired, and it should be shown that it is only being acquired for the public purpose. Of course, give compensation within a timeline in an efficient manner. So all these things, procedural rights, you should remember as far as the right to acquire property is concerned. Again, another topic, page 10, polity. There is, can parties be de-recognized or deregistered? Okay, now there is certain things and there are certain questions. What are registered parties? What are recognized parties? What are the issues over here? What needs to be done? These are certain questions, and you can see here that I have mentioned some important points. So first of all, understand. Let us begin with, what is a registered party? See, these parties and all, they are very much in news because you all know the model code of conduct is going on. And the enforcement of this model code of conduct, it lies on nobody else but Election Commission of India. And Election Commission of India says that the star campaigners, they should lead by example, should not vitiate the fabric of the society. Now you all know that in the elections, a lot of time people are accusing the Election Commission and the MCCs to be, not able to stop the violations that are happening. So under that, the first thing you can see, the first paragraph talks about registered parties, second talks about recognized parties, third talks about the issues, and fourth talks about the what needs to be done. So please understand, section 29A of the Representation of Peoples Act 1951, that is RP Act, it lays down the requirement for registration of a political party. Who will register them? Election Commission of India. Now please understand, in this, let's say there is a political party, and this political party wants that they should be registered. What document they need to submit? They first of all need to submit a constitution, a copy of its memorandum or constitution, that they will bear true faith to the Constitution of India, they will bear faith to socialism, they will bear faith to secularism, they will uphold democracy, they will uphold sovereignty, they will uphold unity and integrity. All these things they have to say. Now, some of you might have this question, what is the benefit if you are registering yourself as a registered party? You have certain legal benefits. Number one, there is tax exemption for any of the donation that you are receiving. You get common symbol to contest the Lok Sabha or the Vidhan Sabha elections. And you have 20 star campaigners. Now everyone, I did not know before today that India has got 2,790 registered political parties. Now understand, these are registered. Then comes the question about recognized party. Now please understand, you all have studied recognized parties is also basically a registered party only. So let's say it is in maths, if I say registered parties are like this, and within them there would be recognized party. So a recognized party is referred as, or is two types, if you can call them as national party or state party. And in polity, you know what are the, how a party can be categorized as a national party, how it is categorized as a state party. This I'm not getting into that. You should study that how much percentage of votes, how many seats should you win, and based on that, what sort of classification you get into. As far as the your Election Commission is concerned, we have around 61 national parties. We have 6 national parties and there are 61 state parties that are recognized. And these recognized parties, they get a lot of concessions, again reserved symbol, and they have 40 star campaigners. So you can understand the difference between registered and recognized party. Now, why such a big article has been written? What is the logic behind this? What are the issues here? See, please understand. What Election Commission has found out that less than 1/3 of these registered parties, they contest the elections. Now, let's say if only 1/3 parties are contesting the elections, why are the other 2/3 not contesting? And if the other 2/3 are not contesting, Election Commission is pointing out that if that's the case, give us the power to deregister those, register, spelling is wrong, deregister. Give us the power to deregister those political parties who fail to contest elections, those who do not conduct inner party elections, or do not have the requisite returns. So you can see here, there was a case which had gone in Supreme Court. The case was between Indian National Congress versus Institute of Social Welfare and the others, 2002. In that, Supreme Court had said that Election Commission of India does not have power to deregister any political party under this RP Act. Now, 2/3 are not participating, and yet the Election Commission cannot do anything about that. They can do, let me give you the exception. Election Commission can deregister any party only under exceptional circumstance. What is this exceptional circumstance? For example, any political party has obtained its registration through fraud, or the political party ceases to have allegiance to the constitution, or the political party is considered unlawful by the government. These are exceptional cases, but Election Commission is worried that these 2/3 parties which do not participate. You all can understand. I told you in this, they get certain benefits. You can see here, they get some tax exemption. So Election Commission is worried that, these political parties, they might be possibly misusing the income tax exemption. The donations might be being collected through money laundering. So under this, the Election Commission wants that they should be given the power to deregister. Along with that, you all know elections are going on. Model Code of Conduct prohibits people from securing votes on the basis of caste and communal feelings. They say do not bribe. They say do not intimidate. The problem is, we know all the political parties, they are guilty of many of these things. Yet, what has been observed, that Election Commission has not been able to do any concrete action against them, apart from the fact that they might be banned from, canvassing for 2 days. So these are the major issues that have come out of it. Last, what needs to be done? Basically, in the reports, Law Commission, in its 255th report in 2015, along with that, Election Commission in 2016 in its memorandum for electoral reforms, they both have argued that the Election Commission be given the power to deregister a political party. Specifically, any political party which has not fought elections for 10 consecutive years, they must be deregistered. EC should get the power to suspend or withdraw the recognition of a political party, and these are the things that they are asking. In this one exception is mentioned in the last part. The writer mentions it has probably been used only once for 3 weeks in 2015, when the recognition of National People's Party was suspended for failure to follow the directions of Election Commission of India. That's the only one time when it has happened. So this is the fourth topic, all of them related to your polity. Now, the next two articles are related to health. And basically, you can see here, I have given you a lot of points under this topic, which you should remember. Let me tell you, this whole article and very big article in the editorial page has come about hypertension or high blood pressure. The authors, they are arguing that, when COVID and all this struck, a lot of people were talking about blood clot formation. They were talking about this leading to cardiac arrest and all. But the authors are saying one particular thing which people are failing to notice is BP. BP is a much bigger, preventable risk factor for heart attack as well as brain stroke, which they are mentioning as hypertension. They are saying hypertension is a much bigger problem when it comes to your heart attacks. They are quoting in 2023, WHO released a report, the first ever on hypertension. Title was Global Report on Hypertension, the Race Against a Silent Killer. Now you all can understand, they are mentioning that hypertension is a silent killer because most of the people, they are not aware that they suffer from high blood pressure. People get to know that they are suffering from high blood pressure only when there are complications. Till the time there are no complications, people do not know about this. Even though, again, I am saying it's the single most important factor that leads to early death. And in this article, they are mentioning that around 10.8 million preventable deaths every year happen because of the high blood pressure. In this article, they are saying that if you look at high blood pressure, they cause more death even than, what do you call, tobacco use and all. So they are saying in the last 3 decades, since 1919, hypertension has nearly doubled to 1.3 billion people globally. And they say globally almost 46% of the people, they don't realize that they are suffering from this. In this, they say that in India, if you look, the Indian Council for Medical Research India Diabetes Study has estimated that India has around 31 crore people, that is almost 1 in 3 adults, who are suffering from hypertension. Now, this is till here. Can we avoid hypertension? The author says yes. And a very simple thing is cut the salt. Now everywhere, we consume so much of fast food. Bhujia, mixture, papad, lays. You talk about anything, we keep on consuming that. All these have a very high amount of salt. So the authors are saying, okay, just give me a second, and this, just a second. The authors are saying that on an average, we should consume 5 gram or less of salt per day. If we do this, this would come down. Cardiovascular diseases would come down by 30, mortality rate would come down by 20%. But the problem is Indian adults, they consume 8 to 11 gram of salt, which is twice the, what WHO prescribes. And this leads to around 1,75,000 deaths per year. Other thing that they are saying is that, see, this BP thing is something that is there in all the socio-economic group. They had done a survey, they have mentioned that they did a survey of around 12,000 people, and they found out that whether it is women, whether it is migrant worker, or the taxi driver, or the rickshaw driver, all of them, they are suffering from this. And as far as the Indian government is concerned, Indian government has a target of 75 million who are suffering from hypertension or diabetes. They should be given standard care by 2025. So this is something that the Indian government is doing. Third, you can see the third thing they are talking is simple and scalable. Now, just give me a second. Yeah, I have written this here also. You can see what should be done. Under that, they have raised 7 points. I'll come to this. But before that, let me tell you, they are saying that there are some simple strategies, some scalable strategies that should be done in order to avoid the hypertension. One, forecasting of drugs, based on morbidity, that should be done over here. Number 2, as you can see, what do you call this? National health policy, along with the global targets and commitments, should be achieved. For this, they are pointing out to 7 things. Number 1, raise the awareness about this risk and the long-term adverse impacts of if hypertension is untreated. Number 2, scale up evidence-based public health interventions, like IHSCI. Third, the interventions and health programs are often targeted on modifiable risk factors. However, there are non-modifiable risk factors, like look into the family history of the people. Whether the person is above age of 65, does the person have comorbidities like diabetes or kidney disease? Because if you are suffering from any of these, you have a chance of suffering from hypertension. Fourth, intensify efforts to reduce dietary salts. And under this, they give a strategy, shake the salt habit. They are saying this is under the WHO's heart strategy. So, bring down the salt in the food. Fifth, lifestyle diseases demand multi-sectoral actions. Now, see here. In 2017 only, India had developed and had approved a multi-sectoral action to prevent the non-communicable diseases. Sixth, I've already said, inform the people about, the food, how much salt is there. So there is an invisible salt in pickles, breads, namkeen, papad. So on these, food packaging labels should be there, which should mention how much salt do they have. Seventh, greater enforcement of blood regulation as far as India is concerned. And last but not the least, keep on doing a regular BP check. All these are going to contribute in lessening the burden of BP or hypertension as far as our country is concerned. Let us move to the other, health related topic that came. Adolescent girls at risk after receiving co-vaccine, says study. Now they are saying adolescent girls and people with comorbidities have higher risk of adverse events after receiving Bharat Biotech's Covaxin vaccine against COVID-19. This has been published in a magazine report, Springer Nature. That's a magazine where it has been printed. Now you don't have to remember, you can see what all people have pointed out. They are saying many people have complained about viral upper respiratory tract infections. Some have complained about skin, subcutaneous disorders, general disorders, nervous system disorders, again musculoskeletal disorders, nervous system disorders, menstrual abnormalities have been noticed in a lot of these participants. So you don't have to remember the percentage, just remember that these are certain, problems that have been found out in this study by this magazine. Now we must give the other side. Bharat Biotech is saying that if you have done a study, and in order that this study is informative and does not have investigator bias, some additional data points must be considered. Company is saying that there have been other reports also, other studies also, which have said that the Covaxin was completely safe, and they have published this in many peer-reviewed journals. So do remember that some people are saying, one report says that Covaxin had some negative impacts. The company is saying that's not exactly true. Moving to the next topic, Mr. Putin, after becoming the president of Russia for the 5th time, look where he's going for the first place where he's going. Mr. Putin's first trip abroad since his March re-election and second in just 6 months is again to China. This shows the close ties between China and Russia. And according to these two leaders, their friendship is a stabilizing force as far as the world is concerned. You all know Russia, for them, China has come as an economic lifeline. Russia has had many sanctions from the Western world, and West, when it hit them through these unprecedented sanctions because Russia had attacked Ukraine, it is China which has helped them a lot. And this is something which I was saying earlier also. West is continuously pushing Russia in the laps of China, and Russia is needing them. Both of them are saying that their friendship is not opportunistic and it is not against anyone. but they both decided to have a comprehensive strategic partnership as far as these two countries are concerned. China has always dismissed, that they are helping Russia when it comes to the war in Ukraine, though the Western countries are accusing China of doing that. And remember, this meeting is happening in the backdrop. Today only, I have not taken up that article, but if you will read today, in one day, yesterday, Russia has acquired hundreds of square kilometer area in Ukraine, which is their biggest success in the past few months. Though both the countries yesterday said that, see, we would not like to escalate this Ukrainian crisis, but then this is there. Remember, as far as India is concerned, this is not a great news. China and Russia, coming closer, where Russia has always been a very good friend of ours, and we have had not a great relationship with China, so we would be definitely not so be happy about this particular trend as far as the international affairs are concerned. Moving ahead, related to this only, page 1, ahead of Ukraine peace conference, Swiss diplomat hold talks in India. What is happening? A summit on peace in Ukraine is going to be organized. This is going to happen on June 15 and 16. It would be organized in the Swiss town of Buggenstock. Now the thing is, India till this day has not confirmed that whether we are going to participate or not. And if we are going to participate, we are going to participate at what level? So under this circumstance, as you can see, a Swiss diplomat, you don't have to remember, but the Swiss foreign secretary is arriving in India, and they would definitely be wanting that India should participate in this. Now you all know we are going to we have already signed the EFTA, European Free Trade Association Trade Pact, which includes Switzerland, and they will talk about all these financial issues, economic issues, as well as all the other bilateral issue. Now everyone, why is India needed so much over there? Organizers feel that BRICS country, barring Russia, minus Russia, and countries in the global south, if they attend, so then it would become much more successful. Otherwise only the US allies and European countries would come. Around 50 countries till now have confirmed, but India has not confirmed. India is saying, see, we are waiting for the elections and then only we'll confirm. They want India should confirm because India is a global power. India's reputation at the global arena makes it a very, very key player, a very influential voice, and that's why they want us to be there. But you all can understand, India does not want to be a party to any such meeting where they would do a heavy criticism of Russia. Because you all know Russia, we have not condemned any of the, I would say UN-sponsored reports. We have abstained from all such critical resolutions or resolutions that have been critical of Russia. As far as UN is concerned, since 2022, we have not joined any such statement. And here also we would like to avoid ourselves from something like this. And I should definitely tell you that the new government, will come in June. So many people are saying we will decide it over there. But when it comes to G7 plus meet, indications are that Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, if he is re-elected, he would definitely be traveling over there. Last thing, why is this meeting being done? This meeting is being done to find a Ukrainian peace formula. Under this, they are asking Russia to vacate all the land that they have occupied till now. Russia has already rejected this, but then efforts are going on to achieve some sort of, I would say, peace as far as Ukraine is concerned. Moving to another IR issue, and this is totally for pre. Please remember there is an area called New Caledonia. There for the third consecutive day, violence is happening. New Caledonia, it's a territory, a French Pacific territory, an archipelago, where some residents have long sought to break free from France. Now let me show you on the map. This is your New Caledonia, having a population of around 3 lakh people. It's very, very close to your Australia in the Pacific Ocean. See Encyclopedia Britannica, you all can see violence happened, and in this violence, Kanak community, this is the indigenous community of this area, 2 people had been dead. So please remember, a pro-independence movement is going on, where the name of this is the Field Action Coordination Unit. Totally from the perspective of prelims, only remember, New Caledonia is a French Pacific territory, and remember, indigenous community's name is Kanak community. Moving to the last topic for the day. Page 22, Kerala sounds warning on West Nile virus. Neighboring states are on guard. Now, Kerala, has been endemic for this West Nile virus for almost 2 decades now. And the problem is, even before southeast monsoon has come, there are reports that this West Nile fever has started to appear. Cases are being reported. Problem is 80% of the cases are asymptomatic. That means if some cases are being officially reported, there would be hundreds of cases which might go unreported because they are asymptomatic. Now remember, most of the times the people suffer from fever, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, and you can understand these are the symbols of any other mosquito-borne viral disease. So, whether the patient is suffering from this West Nile virus is only known when the patient shows the symptoms of neuroinvasive disease. Like if the patient has started to suffer from meningitis, or the patient is suffering from encephalitis, then only one can say that they have started to suffer from West Nile virus. And because of all this, the diagnostic difficulties are there when it comes to your West Nile virus. Now, you can see one very important thing for prelims that I found in this article was the principal vectors of the disease are mosquitoes of genus Culex, generally found breeding in stagnant large water bodies like paddy fields. So please remember this for prelims, that from where this is, brought over here. If I tell you one last thing here, it's written here for at least 2 decades. So the first such case was reported in Kutanad region of Kerala around February 1996. So now it's almost 3 decades if you say. And some people are also raising in the last point, they are saying that maybe the crow family, maybe the carriers of this particular virus. They could be carriers of this virus. This is something that people are guessing. They are not sure about this. They are saying that a lot of migratory birds come in this area. They might be carrying these viruses, and because of that, this disease would be affecting the people of Kerala. You can read this on your own, but these are the most important points as far as your West Nile virus is concerned. Moving to the last thing, let us look at the questions for the day, the mains question. The first question is, Indians need greater awareness about, I should just, just give me a second. About the, So Indians need greater awareness about the long-term effects of untreated hypertension and the danger of high salt intake in the diet. Discuss 250 words, 15 marker. Question 2, what are the implications of recent China-Russia relations on India? 150 words, 10 marker. These are the 2 questions that you can discuss, write, and if you like it, like the lecture, subscribe to it. Do pass it on to your friends, and again we shall meet again at the same time, same place tomorrow. Do remember 7 p.m. you have the crash course polity lecture number 3 today. That's all from today's lecture. Goodbye. Thank you.